Tuesday we're doing track intervals. Coach, what's the purpose of doing these intervals?
Well, track intervals are really important because what you're trying to do is increase your speed, particularly for whatever the race distance you're getting ready for. So track interval is a way to build into the pace, when you're starting from a new fitness level. Maybe you're a beginner and you've never done a 5K before, so you're going to want to test it out on, like for us here in Mammoth, every Tuesday is track interval day. So we like to get in there and test out these workouts to try to gauge what pace we can run for a 5K.
Great. So what would be an example of a 5K workout?
So classic 5K workout is doing some shorter intervals at pace. So for example, one of the ones we do here is we'll do 2 sets of 6 by 300 meters at 5K pace with 100-meter jog at right around the same time it took to run that interval. So for example, you'll classically do somewhere around 48 seconds for those 300s and take about 45 to 50 seconds rest to basically jog back to the starting line. All right, Ryan, start of the workout. First 300 at 5K pace. Ready? Go! If we look at that workout as a whole, each set is about 2,400 meters or pretty close to 1.5 miles. Multiply that by 2 and you've got your 5K worth of volume in an interval session with a little bit of rest thrown in so that we're not overtraining. All right, Ryan, let's finish up this 5K workout. Last one, 46, 47. Great job, Ryan.
So what if I was getting ready for a 10K? What would we do here on a Tuesday?
Right, so 10K, twice the distance of a 5K, so we do need to up the length of the intervals, particularly just to try to build that muscle memory, because if you do short intervals, you're probably going to go too fast, and you're not really going to educate your body on what 10K pace is. So a basic one we'll do up here is 6 to 8 times a K or 1,000 meters. If you're on the track, it's about 2.5 laps around the track, and then we'll take 600 meters for recovery or about 1.5 laps. And each interval then comes out to basically a total of 1 mile. So if we do 6 times 1,000 with 600-meter jog, that becomes 6 miles worth of work at the end of the day. So we get in a lot of pace work at 10K goal pace. So you really learn that motor skill of how fast the legs need to be turning over, how far your stride length is, how relaxed those arms got to be, dialing in the heart rate so that your heart rate's not too high or not too low, and getting a good benefit from it.
So a 6-mile workout for the 6.2-mile race.
Right, we leave the 0.2, you kind of got out that last lap. If it's on the track, it's about the last 400 meters. Most people, that's 1 to 2 minutes. Normally, we don't have to cover that in training every time.
So for the 5K workout, we did 3 miles of intervals. For the 10K, we did 6 miles of intervals.
Sure.
Now, what about if we're running a marathon, 26.2 miles?
Right, well, a marathon, we're never going to run 26 miles worth of work. It's just too long. So even though we need to run that rhythm and get that established for pace work and mentally to know what pace we can actually achieve in the marathon, we're going to do intervals, but they're not going to be a marathon's length. Typically we'll do maybe 6 or 8 or sometimes 10 miles worth of work. And we typically will break it up into mile repeats, let's say. Sometimes they go up to as long as 2 miles, but just to kind of dial that pace in on a weekly basis, mile repeats are a great tool for the marathon.
And how much warm-up before we'd hit the mile repeats, 6 by mile, 8 by mile, or even 10 miles of work?
Right, so with any workout, we're looking for pretty much a standard warm-up, 15 to 20-minute jog if we don't have a measured distance, or about 2 to 3 miles worth of warm-up. You need that much time to get the blood circulating through the body, to raise the heart rate up to a good level so you're not going to shock it right off the bat.
And then the same sort of cool down on the backside?
Right, so the warm down is basically trying to do the opposite. We're coming from running 160 to 180 beats per minute. Now we need to kind of taper it back down so it kind of pyramids out of it towards that resting heart rate.
And you don't necessarily have to have a track to do track intervals, right?
Right, without a doubt. Mammoth, we don't have a track, but what we do is we do have a measured course out here, that we wheel off with our measuring wheel and put cones down so that you can get your time, and still follow that like if you were on the track, but it's just out on the roads. As long as you have a nice smooth surface, anywhere you can get those track intervals done.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about track intervals too is making that mind-body connection between the pace that you're preparing to race at and actually doing that in practice. You're like, okay, I know what this pace feels like, but then at the same time not being discouraged because you're taking this rest in between your intervals and you think, oh, there's no way I could do it without the rest, because by the time you do all the other training components and then you back off and you take your break, you're certainly ready to race at that pace.
Yeah, without a doubt. You do have to understand that most training programs, whether you're training for a 5K or a marathon, you're probably going to be, doing this training for 12 to 16 weeks. So if week in and week out you're getting one of those track sessions in, yeah, your body is really going to absorb that pace work and that training so that you make both the mental and physical connection.
That's great. Well, let's do some intervals.
All right, guys, let's get you ready.
Let's hit it.